it's Real Quiet, and you're watching another Supernatural review, and this is Season 5, Episode 5, Fallen Idol. If you're new here, I do a recap and review of every single episode of Supernatural, so let's get into it. This is a good episode. It's a good episode of Supernatural, and we're coming up to a point where I think we're getting into like a lot of good episodes of Supernatural, but it's something where like I think like sometimes I forget about this episode just because it's not because it's necessarily forgettable, it's just like it's about to be a time where there's so many good episodes that there's been times where I know I've rewatched this episode a few times, but there's times where I'm like, okay, like looking for an episode, I'm like, oh my god, this is an episode. Now, a part of me thinks they did this episode, they wrote this episode kind of like in another way, I don't know. I'm gonna get into it. So I think Paris Hilton wanted to be on the show, and so that's why they wrote this episode. And it turns out she was in this movie called House of Wax with Jared Padalecki, which is why they even said a line, House of Wax, and then the camera shoots to Jared's face and he's like, and Supernatural loves to do these things. And so I obviously didn't watch the House of Wax movie. It was something where I think it was with wax figures, so I don't know, like I'm guessing, I feel like it was like Paris Hilton was like, I want to be on the show, and so then they wrote the episode like this way rather than like, let's do this episode and what if we got Paris Hilton because of the movie. But who knows, it had to be one of those two, obviously. But I think whoever came up with it, or was, you know, if it was the first way, you know, whoever was like, okay, Paris Hilton, she wants to do an episode of Supernatural, what if we do it where wax figures come to life? Like, it's perfect. Or if they did it the other way, they were like, someone was like, we have this idea, it's similar to House of Wax, I don't know, again, I didn't see it, like, we have to get Paris Hilton for this. It's also an idea we haven't seen before. I kind of like was blanking out when they were talking about like what kind of creature it is, but again, it's one of those gods that people used to worship, so I think it's something along those lines where like it seemed like at first could be like not an angel, I almost said angel, a ghost, which we haven't seen a ghost in a while. But then it wasn't a ghost and it was something else, so it's something new. And it is a little bit weird that like the idea is a little bit of a stretch, that it's, you know, your idols coming to life and then they kill you. It's a little bit of a stretch, it is, but it's okay. There are a lot of funny moments from this episode, and so yeah, they did Abraham Lincoln, they did James Dean, they did Gandhi, and then they did Paris Hilton, and so they just needed like a star that was alive. That was like, it was just funny. And there was this whole B plot of like the boys are back together, and I love saying back together. Boys are back together, and this is their first hunt back together, and it's like not working out. Like, it's kind of weird because this is kind of how they've always been, and like, I don't know, I think they're just trying to do more B plots. Or actually, I think they're trying to have more of a rift between the two boys and have them, you know, in the past they did pranks against each other, or like had small fights, but it wasn't to the extent where I feel like they're just fighting all the time. It's just all this, and I think they're doing that because of what it is. It's like the two brothers, you know, Lucifer and Michael, and so I think they want to have it like be that way. So I think that's why they're pushing it. I mean, it feels a little bit forced. It does feel a little bit forced, but it's something where I feel like if you're not analyzing the episodes, it will go over your head. Just because I'm analyzing that, I'm like, but that's also the thing, if you're just like picking this episode out of a hat just to watch, you know, like those B plots, they don't matter. It's just like the funny and the goodness of the episode, I guess I should say. But I do feel like this is an episode that if you just wanted to pick an episode, you could just, you know, watch this episode. It is a good episode, and there's a lot of things going for it, and I think it's great that Paris Hilton, you know, I obviously don't know her relationship with Jared Padalecki, but you know, she did this episode and they have this past with that movie, and it's actually something where I feel like it's such a Supernatural boys thing to do, is do like remake of horror movies, because I think House of Wax is a remake, and then at the same time Jared did the Friday the 13th remake, while Jensen did the Bloody Valentine remake. So it's very similar. I don't have much else to say. I don't have much else to critique about it, except, you know, the B plot, you know, as I said, felt forced. And as I said, some things in the stories, you know, it's a little bit of stretch, but that's what you get with these episodes, and it's okay, and it's a good round episode. and it does get lost. It is an underrated episode in my opinion. It gets lost in all these great episodes, and that sometimes happens. So I'm gonna end it here because I don't have too much else to say, but comment below your thoughts, and thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye.